name's Jennifer Tucker, and my husband Brian and I own Moose Mountain Ranch, where we raise heritage livestock. Primarily we raise hand-spinning wool sheep, but we have a few goats. We have both Boer meat goats as well as some dairy goats.
Our operation, my husband and my operation, is called Goats&Sheep Sheep Company. We have about 125, 130 breeding ewes, approximately 5 main breeds with just a few periphery breeds that we're using for crossbreeding. Kian is a Wensleydale ram. He makes beautiful babies. But the thing, whenever you work with rams, you never touch them on top of the head, because to them that's a dominance. And because he is one of the dominant animals in the property, he continually hits, and it has developed kind of a mutation on top of his head where he continually hits. And this will be all bloody. Particularly as we go into the short days, he becomes more aggressive with the others. Whenever one handles the rams, I have a rule with all my interns right now that no one can go into the ram pen alone, just because as the days become shorter, they become more aggressive. I wouldn't advise anyone probably to handle this ram other than myself. I've raised him, but even I don't go into the pens by myself during the breeding season. They just are really rough. Their minds are on hormones, and that's about all that they're thinking about. Whenever we're housing rams, usually the normal fencing that we would use for ewes is not sufficient, because they're always fighting, establishing dominance, and I try to put in a stronger fence, maybe even stronger than a canal panel. Use livestock panels to hold them in, or a permanent fence. Particularly during breeding, you have to have the animals separated, because if you have 2 rams side by side, one ram will be in with the other ram, and they will fight, and they could kill each other. So you need housing to keep the rams away from each other, particularly during breeding season. Rams are not for the unexperienced. I have had several people come to me and say, my ram turned mean. Well, if you pet them and try to make them a friend, they're going to turn mean. When you're working with the young ram lambs, particularly if they're bottle fed, I try not to keep a bottle fed baby as a ram, because they lose the fear of the person. And even as a young animal, as they start coming and they start butting me, that's very cute if they only weigh 20 to 30 pounds. But once they get bigger, it's very dangerous. And so anytime they start hitting me as a lamb, I will slap their face. The only way I touch them is underneath their chin, not on top. And they learn from very young that I'm to be respected. And that is something that I have developed and what works for me. But again, rams are not for the beginner. How I handle sick animals, the best practice that one can do with sick animals is to have a sick pen or quarantine pen. You try to isolate them from the others.
If it's a contagious disease, they go to a closed quarantine pen, which is a 12 by 12 stall. On an operation this size, I have to do quite a bit of my own vet work and a lot of planning for that. And so the vet work that we do are standard vaccinations, which we do Clostridium perfringens, CD and T, which is Clostridium perfringens plus tetanus. There's a lot of folks that vaccinate for a lot more things than I have in years past, but that CD and T is really the essential one to have in any ruminant.
If you're buying an animal and bringing it onto your property, there is a strong likelihood that it will carry novel pathogens, maybe not anything that's of danger, but something that would be unique to your current animal population. So you put them in what we call a sick pen or a quarantine pen.
Any animal comes in, it is quarantined for a minimum of 28 days. It lives in an area that is separate, and they are fed last every time. You feed the healthy animals and the ones that you know are good, and then you feed the new ones or the sick ones last. It's a really hard habit, because you want to go take care of that sick one first. But if you take care of the sick one, you may be carrying whatever it has to all of your animals.